Many of them have to work long hours and come home and look for the family. And some of them say, we'd like to be like Mary and sit at Jesus' feet all the time, but like Martha, we have to work the whole day. But you know, if it's necessary for you to work, sometimes it is necessary. It's not always necessary. I've said in India and different places, if a woman, the Bible says in Titus chapter 2, very clearly, you read that in verse 4 or 5, a woman's place is primarily to be a worker at home. And I have no regret, my wife and I have no regret, even though she's a medical doctor, that as soon as our first son was born, she quit working. And after that, she's never earned any money, but helped a lot of poor people. But we don't regret it. And we took that decision when we were very, very poor. So it's not that we had plenty of money to live on, because I was trusting the Lord for my needs. But we felt that we don't want our children to be neglected by her going to work. And so we don't dictate to anybody else. We don't say that a woman should not work because supposing the husband is paralyzed or she becomes a widow, what to do? She has to work. So the Bible never says a woman should not go to work. But in everything in the Christian life, it is the motive that is important. What is the motive? Is the motive, I want to raise the standard of my living? Or is it, it's necessary? Without this amount of income, we cannot live. So there are two reasons why women work. One is to raise the standard of living. They want to live at a higher level. And the other is out of necessity. If it is out of necessity, God will give you grace. And your children will follow the Lord. If it is to raise your standard of living, you will not get that grace, and most likely your children will drift away. When I say drift away, I mean they'll nominally say they are born again and sit in some church, but I believe that 90% of people who call themselves born again are not born again. They're not serious about discipleship. They're not eager to follow the Lord. And I didn't want even one of my children to be like that. I didn't want my children just to say, I'm born again, I'm baptized, I'm going to heaven. I say, forget it. I'm ashamed of you if you're that type of child. I want to be a serious, wholehearted disciple of Jesus who's a witness for Christ, fiery witness for Christ. And if I had 10 children, I want every one of them to be fiery witnesses for Christ. What do you want? Somebody who just goes to heaven when he dies? I don't want a child like that. And I hope you don't want a child like that who just wants to go to heaven when he dies. It's a very selfish way to live. After Christ dying on the cross for me and giving his whole life for me, all I want to do is go to heaven when I die? No, I want to live my whole life for him. And that's how I want all my children to be. And I hope you want your children to be like that. So if you want your children to be like that, you need to spend time with them. And that's why I don't regret, my wife and I don't regret that today we have 4 sons who are following the Lord. And of all the millions of dollars she could have earned as a doctor, if I put it in a balance, millions of dollars to be earned as a doctor, or 4 sons following the Lord, I know which is heavier. 4 sons following the Lord. I hope you will value your children above money. Then you can decide whether you should go to work or not. And then, if it's out of necessity, I can tell you God will give you amazing grace to take care of both needs.